Good afternoon, Dallas Cowboy fans. It's Mark Oldovsky Halpern here on the Sports Insanity Network, brought to you by the Dugout of Millwood. Getting bigger and stronger. We're the best place to get some of your best sports cards. Used with our co-signer Top Notch Sports Break and Anthony Laparo. Let's get into what happened with Dallas. I've been kind of a little bit moody over the last couple of weeks, and it's not because I'm never going to be a Dallas fan again. No, I've been living with this for 30 plus years. I stick to it. I'm here with it. I'm going to talk about the good. I'm going to talk about the bad. I'm going to talk about what we need to do. And it's very important that we start about, let's talk about the good. I don't want to hear analysts say Dak Prescott is the reason Dallas lost. Dak Prescott had a phenomenal year, but because every time he throws an interception, every reporter has to give crap about it. Oh, Dak threw an interception. But how about the quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen? Even a lot of them who are in the playoffs had more interceptions than him, and he's the one who takes the flack the most. You want to know why? Because he's on America's team. And that's why they are America's team, because they can take the flack. And you want to know what? We keep coming back and we keep fighting for more. CeeDee Lamb. When you want to talk about a receiver who had an amazing year and a solid one, CeeDee Lamb eclipsed. That's the word I want to use. Eclipsed Michael Irvin number by far, and really is your big dependent number one receiver, and he's gonna get his big contract that is due. And the question is what is Jerry going to do? How is Jerry going to structure it? Well, we'll get to that in a few seconds. All right. CeeDee Lamb on his freaking own. I mean, there's nobody you can possibly think about that could be stronger or better in one season. Um, On the entire season, CeeDee Lamb had 135 receptions for 1,749 yards, just a shade behind Tyreek Hill. And both of them made it to the playoffs, and both of them went out the same way. And 12 touchdowns to go along with CeeDee Lamb. A fantastic, phenomenal year. Jake Ferguson had 761 yards this year. He has definitely solidified himself as a reliable, solid tight end. With the injury last year and Dalton Schultz being what it is, nobody really got to see a lot of Jason Ferguson. Now Dalton Schultz is now in Houston. Ferguson proved and had to prove that he belonged to be here, and he did just that. The name I'm going to talk about next is Brandon Cooks, and it's hard to really give this guy crap, but the reason he was brought in was to be that guy to break down lines and all that. And for the first 6 games, it was slow. I mean, he ended up with 54 receptions for 657 yards and 8 touchdowns. I mean, but it's the 50, it's the sadness of it, is that it was only 54 receptions. It should have been a lot more the way they changed their game. Michael Gallup. I loved the kid when he was a rookie and he came on, his speed and all that. Unfortunately, I don't think we're ever going to see Michael Gallup back in true form to where he was. I think now he's completely undershadowed by Ferguson, Cooks, and Lamb. And now he's more the fourth option. And pretty much you can think that Cavante Turpin or Jalen Brooks are going to replace him at some point. Probably Jalen Brooks over Cavante Turpin at first, as Turpin is more of a switch player, random change of pace. The running games. Even though Tony Pollard did eclipse 1,000 yards, he wasn't worth the tag. Now it could be he was not the same player he was last year, and the question is why? Well, there are a few reasons. The one, the ankle break at the NFC divisional game, and then I don't think he ever really returned to form. The offensive line was healthy, it was there, but he didn't have that explosiveness he had. There were signs of it, but the reason why Dallas used the tag on him instead of giving him a contract was to see if he could play as a number one, and he is not a number one running back, whether it's with Dallas or anywhere. And I think Tony Pollard, will head off into the sunset with his head held high wherever he chooses to go. He might even choose to stay in Dallas, but he'll have to take a reduced role. Behind him, you had Rico Dowdle. It really didn't get a big sampling, but when he was on the field, he showed his ability to get in and out of the line, to push and create hole. He is nowhere near ready to be a solid number two, really. I know he's still going to be with the Cowboys next year. Uh, and then behind it, when you look at the next two leaders in rushing, you have Dak Prescott with 242 yards and then CeeDee Lamb with 113. It can't be like that. Dallas needs, and I miss Zeke Elliott. Zeke Elliott and Tony Pollard worked. The problem was Zeke, and it proved when he went over to New England, did not do what was going to be needed. And he left, but you saw the reception he got when he came back. Wherever Pollard goes, he'll get the same reception. And if he stays and agrees to a reduced role, be the number two, hey, I like it. But who does Dallas get? I think this is the position that has been a problem for Dallas for the past 5 years. I think they had it in 2016, 17, 18, but right after the pandemic and all that, and then Zeke's contract year, it all went downhill. So we need a running back that not only can get you 4 or 5 yards average on first down, but can do it again on second down and take a break before you end up, passing and stuff like that. Dallas did make a change that was pretty prevalent, and I call it like a West Coast offense. They switched to passing, and to me, that's what Dallas needed to do with the staff they had in house. I love the idea of seeing CeeDee Lamb getting moved around instead of being on the outside in the slot more, so he gets more receptions. But Dallas needs a running back because you can't just pass every down and expect to have success. You got to have not necessarily a full balance, but you need a running back who's going to sustain that. And there is a plethora of them. The question is, who fits the best? Now, obviously, the top name out there is Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is in his 30s. He's big, he's strong, and with a line like, let's say, Dallas, Philadelphia, Chicago, even. And I know people think I'm crazy to say Chicago right now, but no, Chicago all have an opportunity to sign Derrick Henry. And to be honest, I think Derrick Henry's going to command too much. And I think Dallas is done with that. Dallas needs a versatile running back that not only can run and get you 4 yards, 5 yards on first down, but also could catch a ball out of the backfield very quickly. And there's two names on this list that come to mind, and that's Austin Eckler and Saquon Barkley. It would be the biggest kick in the nads to the Giants if the Dallas Cowboys ended up signing Saquon Barkley. Barkley has had multiple injuries with the Giants, the horrible ACL tear years ago, and then the ankle, and then the ankle again, and the knee. And, you can't always fault the fact that it's because he's on the Giants. No, I mean, he was the workhorse. And you see what happens, whether it's in football, it's in baseball, it's in hockey and basketball, something happens to your workhorse and you have problems and you're not prepared for it. That's why I think if Dallas were to go after Saquon Barkley, find a way to keep Tony Pollard there and have them as a one and a two. The other name, you got Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler is proved in San Diego, which is a high-powered, fast offense that he can run and gun in it. He would work well also in Dallas. But again, he's up there in years a little bit. I think the two names Dallas needs to focus on is Saquon Barkley, which, trust me, our guy Bill Corpus Crispy Murphy would be absolutely devastated and would hate to be on a show with me if Saquon Barkley came to Dallas. Be fun though. I would send him a Dallas Cowboy Barkley jersey. That I would do. No. Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley make the most sense for Dallas. Reasons why is I think Saquon Barkley has a lot more in him, and with the line that Dallas has, Dallas can help produce holes that he has never seen. Secondly, I just mentioned the Dallas line. They're getting older and getting older fast. This draft has to be about shoring up that line, and it is. There's a plethora of names, and if Dallas could somehow move up, and it would take one hell of a deal that somehow to get Joe Old out of Notre Dame to help replace where Tyron Smith would be gone would be great. But there are a lot of names, and I'm doing mock drafts daily, and each one changes daily. So I can name a bunch, but it's not worth it because I'm not decided on one. I will have one complete one before the draft of who I would like. But I would say the offensive line is where Dallas needs to start. You got to get a left tackle. That's set. Terrence Steele had one of the worst years I have seen out of a Dallas lineman with the holding and also the foot injury. So the question becomes is he's got, I believe it's 1 to 2 years left on his contract, or even it might even be, I think it might be just one. Most any player plays their best in a contract year. And nobody will refute that. It's what it is. They're going to play the most in their playoff and chance to get a big contract. And we've seen it with every player like that, unless an unfortunate injury happens, and that does happen. But the offensive line is a definite. There are running backs in the draft, but none that are going to come in and replace what Tony Pollard did. And I don't want a rookie running back right now. It's like I'm talking about the Mets needing a designated hitter. Dallas, it's the most important thing. Dallas needs a running back and a couple of linemen. As I've mentioned who I wanted, and I'm not going to repeat in a circle. Coaching wise, I know Noah Trombley and what he had to say on Wishbone was right. He said it perfectly. I'm just going to put my end on it. I understand why Mike McCarthy's coaching this year, and I was pissed at it. If you read closely, he's playing on his contract deal. If he was fired, he would have to get paid that fifth year. Now, mind you, to Jerry Jones, it's like Steve Cohen. He doesn't care about money, but Jerry Jones, Jerry Jones commands respect. And Jerry Jones put his faith in coaches over the years. You've had McCarthy, you had Garrett, you've had Phillips, and the list goes on and on and on. And we haven't had any real success since Barry friggin' Switzer. So in the coaching staff, here's what my opinion is on Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy is playing for his life. So that's your head coach. There's nothing more to say. What needs to be done is to be taken away from him is the offensive play call. Get an offensive coordinator. You got Schottenheimer's son up there. Let him take over as offensive coordinator fully and let him call plays. The kid knows how to do it. Next, you have to figure out who is going to be the voice on this team. It's always you always want to try to have it be a player because the player is out there with them. No, you have to listen to the coach. But you need a voice. You need somebody that's going to be respected like Al Pacino was in Any Given Sunday. Who that is, it's not Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick doesn't want to come to Dallas and deal with Jerry Jones. You kidding me? If Pete Carroll is not signed anywhere, and let's say Dallas comes out and loses 2 games, Mike McCarthy will be gone. And I would love to see Pete Carroll here in Dallas. I think that would be a great deal. I would like to see Pete Carroll if Dan Quinn leaves, and if he does, I congratulate him and becomes a head coach somewhere. It's well deserved. He's done absolutely amazing things with this Dallas defense. However, there could be a deal in place saying to Dan Quinn, well, Mike McCarthy's the coach. He doesn't make it to the Super Bowl, or he's doing bad in the year. We fire him. You take over as intern head coach with the deal to get the head coaching job then on out. That's how it should be done. All out for this season, Dallas scared me. With that loss to Arizona, the loss to San Francisco. I mean, those were bad losses. You can't have losses like that. The loss to Buffalo, the loss to the Dolphins. It's just these are games and why Dak is criticized so much. Is he can win against the soft teams, but he can't win against the large teams, and that's the problem. And it's kind of like what Russ Cargill said. I want them lined up. Soft, large, large, soft, large, soft, large, large, soft. That's Dallas's schedule. Oh yeah, we can beat up on all the weak teams. Their next year's schedule is a very easy schedule. It doesn't matter. We saw what KC did. KC's in the Super Bowl. They didn't finish the season at 12-5. The Ravens and San Francisco, I'm sorry, excuse me, the San Francisco 49ers were the number one team and deserved to be there. So any team that makes it to the playoffs can still make it to the Super Bowl. It's a shame that, the Cinderella story is not going in Detroit, but Detroit held its heads high and played a great game. That being said, I don't know why I'm talking about Detroit. That being said, um, Dallas has to fortify itself. It needs to get linemen and needs to get another defensive lineman, someone in the center. I would love someone if Miami decides to let go on Wilkinson, to let him go, let Dallas pick him up. He'd be a great run blocker. We'll see what happens. As for now, I'm Mark Oldovsky Halpern for the Sports Insanity Network, brought to you by the Dugout of Millwood. You can see us at www.thesportsinsanitynetwork.com for all your blog vlogs. Check out the site, check out who we are, watch for special YouTube videos. We're up and running it all the time. And for me, Marco Love, Sky Halpern saying we'll catch you on the flip side.